opens with the galaxy in chaos and fear as the Vreek Dominion destroys world after world. These Vreek are not ordinary enemies. They are living machines made of metal, cold and heartless, rising from the deep darkness between stars. They do not understand mercy or peace. They only know how to take, break, and consume. Wherever they arrive, cities fall, fleets vanish, and whole planets become silent graves. Their victories make them grow stronger, and the galaxy realizes it cannot stop them. People run from burning skies. Ships flee only to be hunted down. Leaders make desperate calls for help. One of the planets in danger is Zirath Prime, a beautiful world filled with diplomats, scientists, and travelers from many species. It was meant to be a safe place, a home of peace and learning. But peace breaks when the Vreek super-dreadnought called Oblivion Lance tears open the sky. The giant ship fires energy beams brighter than stars, and the defense forces of Zirath are destroyed in only moments. Explosions shake the land, the air trembles, and everyone knows the planet may fall next. Inside the Galactic Council chamber, where leaders of many species meet to guide the galaxy, panic grows. The chamber shakes again and again as the Vreek bombard the surface. Delegates scream at one another, desperate for answers. Some ask for help, some cry out in fear, and others shout that all is lost. One Silurian leader named Vareth trembles as he cries that the galaxy is losing the war, and that no one has the power to stop the Vreek. Many turn their thoughts to humanity, a species known for bravery and strange, stubborn strength. But even they have been silent for a long time. Someone asks, "Where are the humans?" And the question hangs heavy in the air. Suddenly the room becomes quiet as a hologram flickers to life. A tall human man appears, old but steady, with sharp eyes and a scar down his jaw. He is Admiral Marcus Hawley, a name known in whispers, a legendary strategist from old wars. The aliens expect a speech or a promise, but Hawley gives none. He simply looks at them with calm certainty and speaks 3 short words. Help is coming. These words strike the room like a bell. No one knows what he means or what kind of help could possibly stop the Vreek fleet already filling the skies. But his voice carries a weight that quiets even the most frightened leaders. Part I ends at this moment, with panic still raging across the planet, the sky still burning outside, and a terrifying enemy closing in. Yet in the middle of this darkness, there is a spark of hope, because humanity has heard the plea of the galaxy. And whatever the humans are sending, it is already on its way. The stage is set for something powerful, something unexpected, and perhaps something that could change the fate of the war. The galaxy, for the first time in a long time, dares to believe that rescue might be possible. Begins in the silent space above Zirath's moon, where darkness stretches in every direction and the burning lights of the battle seem far away. In that quiet moment, a strange ripple moves through space, bending starlight as if something huge is about to arrive. Then the ripple tears open, and a massive shape emerges. At first, the alien observers think it must be a fleet, because its size is too great for any normal ship, but they soon realize that what rises from the distortion is a single warship. It is enormous, 10 kilometers from end to end, shaped like a dark spear made of steel and shadow. Its black armor plates look ancient, heavy, and layered, built to survive the worst storms the universe can offer. White letters glow on its hull with a simple, heavy name, UHS Resolute. This ship is not just a machine. It is a legend. The Resolute was built long ago during a dark time for humanity, then hidden away because it was considered too powerful, too dangerous, and too unique to risk in normal wars. Many believed it was only a story told by soldiers. But now it has returned because there is no greater danger than the Vreek. Inside the ship, Admiral Marcus Hawley stands on the command deck, calm and steady. The crew, a mix of skilled officers and battle-tested engineers, prepare their stations. Captain Lena Rourke, a sharp-minded woman with strong instincts, reports that everything is ready. Her voice shows no fear, only determination. Then the ship's AI activates, its voice soft and calm. It introduces itself as a EGIS, an artificial intelligence designed only to protect. EGIS begins scanning the battlefield, listing the enemy forces with cold precision: battle spheres, attack frigates, and a massive number of drones, along with the deadly super dreadnought. The aliens watching from Zereth see this list and despair, certain that no lone ship can face such power. They whisper in fear as they compare the small number of humans aboard the Resolute to the endless wave of metal enemies. Chancellor Vareth even says aloud that it is impossible for one ship to win. But Admiral Hale offers no speech, no argument. He simply stands straight, eyes focused, and tells them to watch. Then he gives the order that begins everything: Resolute, engage. With that command, the ship moves forward, slow at first but filled with quiet strength, like a giant waking from a long sleep. Its engines burn a deep blue glow, and its weapons come alive. The Vreek notice the lone warship and react with cold confidence. Their drones flood toward it like a metal storm, shining with deadly energy. But the Resolute does not turn away. Its cannons rotate, its shields rise, and its huge frame settles into battle. There is a sense that this is not simply a warship, it is a promise, a symbol of everything humanity has ever stood for. The aliens on Zereth feel something they have not felt in years: hope. The galaxy watches as the first shots prepare to fire, and everyone understands that the real fight has finally begun. The part closes with the Resolute ready to face the impossible, standing alone against an army that has crushed whole worlds and yet showing no fear. Begins with the first clash between the mighty Resolute and the vast Vreek fleet, and it shows how the power of humanity looks when unleashed in full force. As the Vreek see the human warship moving toward them, they do not feel fear or doubt because they are machines made for destruction. They simply send out their swarm of drones, thousands of sharp, metal bodies rushing forward like a cloud of knives. The drones fire bright streams of plasma, and the airless void flashes with violent light as the shots strike the Resolute shields. Inside the ship, the crew rocks under the impact, screens flicker, and the metal floor vibrates as if struck by thunder, but Captain Rourke reports that the shields are still holding strong. Then Admiral Hale gives the calm and deadly order to return fire. Instantly, the Resolute's main cannons ignite. Huge beams of blue-white energy shoot forward with a booming roar that seems to shake space itself. The beams cut through the drones like blades through mist, turning hundreds into burning debris. Then the missile bays open along the ship's long spine, and human torpedoes launch into the battlefield. These missiles are sleek, fast, and guided with perfect accuracy by a EGIS. They weave around drones, dodge enemy fire, and crash into the Vreek frigates with massive explosions. The aliens watching from Zereth see ships they once feared crumble under human weapons, and for the first time, they believe the Vreek might not be invincible. Still, the enemy is relentless. The enormous Vreek battle spheres move forward. Each one is a floating fortress with weapons powerful enough to destroy cities in minutes. Their glowing cores prepare to fire, and Captain Rourke warns that if those spheres hit the Resolute, the ship might not survive. But Admiral Hale, calm even in the face of death, orders the activation of the Star Lance. This weapon is old, unstable, and forbidden because of its destructive power. But Hale knows the battle cannot be won without risks. The crew holds their breath as the Star Lance charges, filling the ship with a deep rumble. Then it fires, unleashing a beam so bright that even the Vreek recoil. The beam cuts cleanly through space and melts a battlesphere in half, splitting it like a fruit in boiling water. The destruction is so sudden and complete that many on Zereth simply stare, unable to speak. They had never seen a Vreek war fortress fall in mere seconds. The sense of fear that had held the galaxy for years begins to lift. For a brief moment, there is hope. But the victory is not complete. The Vreek still have their deadly super dreadnought, the Oblivion Lance, and it now moves closer. Its massive core glows with killing energy as it prepares to fire again. The Resolute shields are weakening. New waves of drones are swarming, and the crew feels the weight of the battle growing heavier. Yet even as the damage mounts, the humans continue fighting, pushing forward, refusing to give in. The part ends with the galaxy watching the unbelievable sight. A single human ship standing strong against an entire mechanical empire, shining like a beacon in the darkness, proving that humanity can face impossible odds and still rise stronger than ever. Begins with the battle reaching a brutal and painful stage as the Resolute pushes deeper into the Vreek fleet, fighting with everything it has left. The earlier victories come with a terrible cost. The shields flicker, hull plates glow from heat, and sparks dance from overloaded panels across the ship. The bridge shakes so often that the crew can barely stay on their feet. Captain Rourke, covered in dust and blood, shouts updates while engineers call out warnings from every corner. Despite the noise, the fear, and the wounds, they all keep working because they know that if they stop even for a moment, the Vreek will crush them and then destroy Zereth below. The endless stream of drones continues to ram into the Resolute like a living storm, their metal bodies exploding against the armor. One explosion rips open a hallway, sending crew members flying and filling the air with smoke. Medics rush to pull survivors out while alarms howl through the corridors. Even the calm voice of a EGI starts flickering, the eyes struggling to maintain systems that are failing one after another. Captain Rourke tells Admiral Hawley that the ship cannot take much more, and her voice is filled with worry and exhaustion. But before they can think of a solution, the true danger appears. High above Zereth, the giant Vreek super dreadnought begins to charge its planet killer beam. A bright white glow spreads across its core, growing brighter until it looks like a sun being born. Everyone knows what is coming. If the beam hits Zereth, everything on the planet, every city, every person, every hope will be turned to dust in an instant. When the super dreadnought fires, the sky flashes with blinding light as the beam shoots straight toward the planet. Without hesitation, the Resolute throws itself into the beam's path. The impact is like exploding. The ship screams as energies far beyond its design slam into its shields. Metal bends, floors shake, and whole sections of the ship collapse. The lights burn out. The bridge goes dark for a moment before emergency power flickers on. AEGIS, its voice dim and broken, announces that multiple decks have been torn open and many crew members are hurt. Captain Rourke can barely stand, but she looks toward Admiral Hawley with fear in her eyes, saying that the Resolute cannot survive another shot like that. Hawley does not argue. He knows the truth. The ship is dying. The crew is out of strength, and the Vreek super dreadnought is already preparing to fire again. In this moment of darkness, with death closing in, Admiral Hawley makes the hardest decision of his life. He quietly orders the crew to prepare evacuation while he alone stays behind. Rourke tries to refuse, grabbing his arm and telling him they cannot leave him. But he shakes his head gently and tells her that this ship needs a leader who can survive for what comes next. Then he walks toward the main console where Aegis waits. The AI speaks softly, asking if he understands what Protocol Omega will do, and Hawley simply says yes. He knows activating it means his death, but he also knows it is the only way to stop the super dreadnought. The crew watches with tears in their eyes as he places his hand on the console, choosing sacrifice over survival. The part ends with the ship shaking again, alarms rising, and the final truth settling over everyone. Admiral Hawley will not leave the Resolute, and he will do whatever it takes to save the galaxy, even if it means giving his life. The moment the Vreek super dreadnought fires its final, deadly beam, the battle changes from a fight of strength to a test of courage and sacrifice as the Resolute faces its darkest hour. Instead of dodging or retreating, the human warship moves straight into the path of the beam, its engines tearing themselves apart as it pushes forward with every last piece of power it can gather. The beam, bright as a newborn star, strikes the Resolute head-on and floods the entire ship with blinding energy. Alarms scream, the hull glows bright red, and systems all over the ship collapse under the pressure. But this pain is exactly what Admiral Holland needs. By taking the attack directly, the ship can channel the massive energy into its ancient core, where the dangerous and forbidden Protocol Omega begins to awaken. Deep within the ship, an unstable fragment of a star locked away for decades begins to crackle and pulse with ferocious fire. The raw power fills every room, shaking walls and tearing open circuits, while AEGIS struggles to keep the systems together long enough for the plan to work. Hawley stands alone at the main console, surrounded by smoke and sparks, his face lit by the glow of the burning core. He orders Aegis to lock onto the super dreadnought, and the AI obeys in a soft, trembling voice, understanding fully what this choice means. As the ship absorbs more and more of the enemy beam, the gravity cage holding the star fragment starts to weaken, and the entire Resolute begins to shine from within, turning its armor into a blazing shell of light. The crew, who have been evacuated to escape pods and support ships, can only watch in helpless silence as their home becomes a burning comet, flying toward the heart of the Vreek fleet. Captain Rourke, tears streaming down her face, screams Hale's name across the comms, begging him to escape, to turn back, to save himself, but he does not answer with regret. Instead, he speaks with calm pride, telling her that humanity stands strongest when protecting others, and that this final strike will give the galaxy the chance it needs to survive. The engines roar louder than ever as the Resolute surges forward, faster and faster, its form now almost impossible to see through the growing light. The Vreek try to destroy it with everything they have, firing beams, missiles, and swarms of drones, but the Resolute cuts through them like a star falling from the sky. The drones melt in the heat, frigates explode, and even the battlespheres crack and break apart. Nothing can stop the ship now. Then, at the final moment, the Resolute strikes the super dreadnought head-on. The impact triggers the unstable core, and the fragment of the star explodes outward in a brilliant burst of light that fills the entire battlefield. The explosion is so powerful that it looks like a sun has erupted in the sky above Zerath. The shockwave tears through the Vreek fleet, crushing thousands of drones and ripping apart metal giants that had once seemed unstoppable. The dreaded Oblivion Lance is vaporized in a flash, leaving nothing behind but glowing dust drifting through space. When the light begins to fade, the battlefield grows quiet for the first time in years. The Vreek are gone. The threat is ended. But the Resolute, and Admiral Hawley with it, have vanished into the brilliant fire they created. The crew and the galaxy look at the empty space where the ship once stood, and grief mixes with awe. In one act of sacrifice, one human ship and one human leader have changed the fate of billions, proving that hope can be reborn even in the darkest hour. After the great explosion that wiped out the Vreek fleet, the galaxy slowly entered a new and fragile calm, and people everywhere struggled to understand the scale of what they had witnessed. The sky above Zerath was empty now, free from the dark metal shapes that had haunted it for months. But the space where the Resolute once stood was also empty, filled only with drifting light and quiet ashes. Captain Rourke, along with the surviving crew and billions across the galaxy, felt a heavy mix of grief and pride. A single ship had given everything, and one man, Admiral Marcus Hale, had made a choice that saved worlds but cost him his life. Days later, the leaders of many species gathered on Zereth for a ceremony unlike any the galaxy had held before. The air was thick with emotions as representatives from 100 worlds came together in a huge open plaza filled with banners, lights, and quiet music that honored the fallen. Captain Rourke stood at the center, tired but strong, carrying the weight of memory and leadership. In her hands was a stone plaque carved with simple words dedicated to Hale. She placed it gently on the ground, where everyone could see. Around her, alien leaders waited, some with tears shining in their eyes, others bowing their heads in deep respect. Chancellor Vareth, the Silurian who had once cried out that the galaxy was losing the war, stepped forward and spoke with a trembling voice. He said that humanity's courage had saved not only Zereth, but the hopes of countless species, and that their lone warship had changed the destiny of the stars. His words reached every corner of the plaza and echoed into the silent crowd. Rourke then spoke, her voice soft but steady, explaining that the Resolute had never been built to conquer or control. It had been made to protect. She told them that Admiral Hale had believed deeply in unity and that humanity fought not for power but for hope and peace. Her words touched many hearts, and for a moment, even the wind seemed to pause as if listening. After the ceremony, a new alliance formed among the species. They had fought alone and failed, but together they would rebuild and stand strong. This alliance was not born from fear, but from gratitude and shared courage. Humans became an important part of it, not as rulers but as guardians, advisors, and friends. The galaxy learned to trust again, to believe in cooperation, and to prepare for whatever dangers might come in the future. Memorials were built on many worlds, but the first and most precious one stood on Zereth, where Hale's stone tablet rested. Families visited it, soldiers saluted it, and children touched it with small hands, imagining the hero who lit a star to save them. Every year, on the day of the great battle, the citizens of Zereth gathered to honor the sacrifice. They lit lanterns that floated into the sky like glowing stars, a symbol of the light that Hale had given them. They told stories of the Resolute, the ship that stood alone, fought bravely, and shone brighter than the darkness. And they remembered that even in the face of impossible odds, one act of courage can change the entire galaxy. In time, the scars of war began to fade, but the memory of that day remained as strong as ever, reminding everyone that hope can survive even the darkest night, when there are those who are willing to stand and fight for it.